Well, what do you need to sample for SAS5? There's a minimal set of requirements, and it's part of the standardization process to ensure that we have the people collecting, or SAS practitioners using the same equipment, so the results that are coming out aren't related to variability in equipment, but we have the same equipment, so the results are more related to water quality. First thing, we need a net. Now the standard SAS5 net is very strictly defined. It's a square opening. It's 30 by 30 each side. Beyond that, the opening is defined. The next requirement would be that the net is 1000 microns or 1 millimeter, the pore size. Now, it doesn't matter what that material is, as long as that 1000 micron is maintained throughout, that is the standard requirement for the SAS net. And that's really to allow the small organisms which can't be seen by eye to wash through, and retaining the larger organisms that we want to be able to look at and identify. So there's our net. What else do we need? We've collected our sample, we bring it back, and we want to put it into something. In this instance, a tray is required. Put the sample onto, flush the net through with some water, flicking it out, a bucket to wash some water through, clear water, as clear as possible. If it's from the site, you may have to bring water in with you if it's a really turbid river you're going to, so you don't sit with turbid water and you're struggling to identify, so have some spare water with you, clear water. But if it's a clear river, perfectly fine to use the river water. The sample's now on your tray and you're ready to start identifying. Now whether or not you have each of your 3 biotopes spread out on each tray doesn't really matter. You can process each biotope by itself. Again, that doesn't matter. Personal preference and where you find yourself and equipment available, costs, etc. The key thing next is you would require the standard SAS5 datasheet, and that has the families on it, the quality values, the different biotopes that you've sampled, and where you would then record what you've located and found at this site. Other additional aids which may be useful, not critical, and depends on experience and what your personal preferences, but would be the aquatic invertebrates of Southern Africa or South Africa field guides. This gives additional information on how to sample different habitats, and then something on the families. The other field illustration guidebook, very useful, and certainly when starting out, an essential piece of information of field kit to make sure you can always check up on things that you might not be sure of. The damselflies, some of the features might be a bit tricky, but having that book available just helps you confirm things in the field, and you're not dependent on bringing samples back necessarily to check up later. Those are the critical things. Other bits and pieces which make the identification process useful: a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass, just to help look at those facial features on things like the hydrocyclids, the caddisflies, and other organisms in there. Very useful looking at particular aspects which just help with the identification. You would usefully have a small sucker to allow you to suck up organisms, plunk them into your hand or into a further tray for further examination, a pair of forceps to pick things up, and perhaps, again, personal preference, but a small sucker with a little net on the end to help scoop out the organisms that you're looking for. Very useful, not essential, but almost essential because of the way SAS5 is structured, would be to get a small ice cube tray where it can be white or blue, a light color, allowing you to put particularly the betids and hydrocyclids. And when you will have seen, or will see later in that section of this production, how to handle the betids and heterozygotes, the requirement to be able to distinguish between those particular species and the numbers of different species of those in your total sample. So because of that, we have the ice cube tray labeled with the stones column, the vegetation column, and the gravel, sand and mud column, which allows us right at the end to look at the total number across the entire sample from our sample site. Then obviously with all of that you need a pencil or a pen to record your data onto your SASS sheet, a clipboard for that sort of thing. Other bits and pieces might be your on-site instrumentation, a clarity tube, a DO, meter and so on, a GPS to record your coordinates, and those sorts of additional things. Not essential, but useful additional material to have with you on site.